Hello, hello, hello. Darian, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone.
The man of the hour, the man of the hour. So, guys, welcome again to our business development workshop day with numerous of our partners that we teamed up with this year for Port of Spain Fashion Week to ensure we edify you not just from the fashion perspective, but also from the business development perspective for creatives and MSMEs within the creative sector. And without social media in 2021, you really can't survive, as it were, because everyone is on social media now. And it's a new paradigm where businesses, MSMEs, creatives, everyone, they are using social media to push their brand and to push their business. So speaking about brand, today we are speaking about building your brand on social media platform. And we have the pleasure of uh, we have the pleasure of having Mr. Darian Sobian, Managing Director of 10 Caribbean Marketing.
I actually thought you forgot my name there for a second, Jeremy.
Oh, it's almost. It's a little jittery, the jitterbug. Have me a little excited now, right? So, with that being said, we formally wish to welcome Mr. Sobian in this exciting session we're going to have today. And before we get going, as always, we have to give a little background. So Mr. Darian Sobian is the co-founder and managing director of 10 Caribbean Marketing. Born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago, he got his start in traditional advertising in Jamaica before returning home in 2015 and turning his efforts fully towards digital marketing. He has over 15 years experience in advertising and brand strategy and has worked with regional brands to the likes of Massey Motors, Red Stripe, Digicel, and RBC Royal Bank, Lucozade Caribbean and Caribbean Airlines. 10 Caribbean Marketing produces imaginative, innovative, and measurable digital marketing campaigns for Caribbean brands and was recognized by the American and Caribbean Advertising Federations in 2021 with 3 Addy Awards, including Outstanding Social Media Campaigns. Yes, Darian. So
Wow, that guy sounds really impressive.
that guy sounds spectacular. I mean, and for those who are on the session today, I also have the pleasure of being a part of the 10 Caribbean marketing family in the capacity of stylist. I'm a stylist, it was a hobby turned into a passion, turned into a real business that, I've been able to build over the past couple of years. And 10 Caribbean Marketing they've been very supportive in allowing me the pleasure of being in on numerous of their projects, more so one of the projects that won the Cardi Award for Caesar's Army's Bacchanalia campaign. So I think that's probably an interesting point where we could start. We could probably start about speaking about, the Cardi Award and also, the importance of, the brand, the branding for campaigns, because as many people wouldn't, as many people may or may not know, but Darian's family, most of his brother is deeply into events, Caesar's Army, and Darian is one of the many brainchilds when it comes to campaigns for Caesar's Army. So we could probably chat about that.
Yes, well, that's a great introduction, Jeremy. Brian Matthew, apologies. Jeremy is a friend, colleague, and an extended family member of 10 Caribbean. So I still call him by his nickname, Jeremy. But yes, Brian, I would love to talk about Bacchanalia. It was, so with the Addy Award submission, this was actually our first year submitted for the Addy Awards. We were able to take home 3 awards. One is for outstanding animation, motion graphics, or special effects. and that was for the Bacchanalia campaign that we did. The other was for outstanding social media campaign, which was for the Immortal Beauty campaign we did. I hope that some of the fashionistas in the room would be familiar with the Immortal Beauties and the little local luxury brand called Immortal Beauty. And then finally, we won for an outstanding film, which was our 3rd anniversary reel. The great thing is in the presentation that I've prepared, I will take the participants today through all 3 of those campaigns so that hopefully they can glean some insights about how you can approach branding from 3 different aspects, looking at how you launch your brand on social media, then looking at how you are able to produce campaigns that position you on social media, and then finally how you maintain your brand on social media. So you could just let me know when I can launch into the presentation.
Well, without any further ado, I mean, the ball is in your court now, Mr. Sobian. So guys, give Darian as many questions as possible. Just flood our chat box with questions upon questions because Darian is ready and prepared. So Darian, take the floor.
Okay. So I'm going to just try to share my screen now, and you can let me know when you're seeing it.
Yes.
Okay, great. So guys, so the understanding is that we'll be together for about 30 minutes today. I'm going to be talking about brand building on social media. And so as Jeremy said, right, we try our best to come up with innovative ways to not only present Caribbean and Caribbean diaspora brands, but to present ourselves in any way that we can. So I tried my best to come up with an innovative way to present today as well. So I'm going to be taking a cue from Sesame Street. I hope they have some millennials in the room like myself. And today's presentation is brought to you by the numbers 3 and 10. You will see those numbers appearing over and over throughout the presentation. So if you take nothing away from the presentation, definitely take away those 2 numbers. Like I said, if you times 3 and 10, you'll get 30 minutes. And then I'm just one of 3 of the principles of 10 Caribbean Marketing. The persons that you'll see here at the very top is Louvel Moore. That's our creative director. He's a Trinidadian self-taught 3D animator who's actually based in the States. He lived for a long time in New York. He's now in Boston. In the middle, you'll see my co-founder, Samantha Burke. She's a corporate lawyer based out of Jamaica. She's called to the bar in both Trinidad and Jamaica. So she was very key to our starting and continuing to be good corporate citizens. And well, at the bottom, you'll see that good-looking chap. That's me. So although both of my partners are probably more fashionable than me, they thought I was the best looking and I should present today. 10 Caribbean is a startup company, just like most of the persons in the room here. We've managed now to gain a little bit of notoriety, I would say, over the last year, based on the fact that we won some Addy Awards. And of course, we did some PR to support that as well. But I want you all to understand that I'm coming from the same place that you are, in that I'm not just here speaking about my experience and expertise working with brands, but also working on 10 Caribbean and trying to build our brand as well. So as Jeremy said, we were lucky to win 3 awards. And as I was able to touch on, one of those Addy Awards was for our 3rd anniversary reel, which I'm going to play for you guys. It's just about 1.5 minutes long. So I hope you enjoy, and then we'll get back into the rest of the presentation. Okay, I hope everybody was able to hear the audio and I hope you enjoyed it. If you saw anything stylish in that reel, it was more than likely done by Brian Matthew, who's the co-host today. But getting back to the 3 and 10, I'm just going to touch on three different phases that you could look at when you are trying to build your brand on social media. And then we will also look at the 10 commandments of brand building. That's going to come at the very end of the presentation. So if you stick around, you'd be able to see what that is, right? So I'm going to launch into it very quickly. The first phase that I want you all to consider as persons that are trying to build your brand is the launch phase. It's a very critical phase, of course, for brand awareness. The way in which that I'll illustrate that today is by showing you what we did when we launched as a company, and then also showing you an example from Caesar's Army when they were launching one of their new products. This was sometime pre-pandemic, which feels maybe about 10 years ago, but when they launched Bacchanalia Weekend, which was one of the ADIO Award wins that we had. Then we will speak about the second phase, which is a campaign phase. In this phase, you're really looking more at how you could position yourself as a brand, tell your brand story, and really resonate with your customers. And then in the third phase, we're looking at maintenance. And that's really how you maintain top of mind awareness. Top of mind awareness is really just a fancy term for if somebody asks you to name 10 car brands, what are the top 10 car brands that come to mind? If Toyota, for example, doesn't come to mind, then Toyota has not achieved top of mind awareness, right? So we want you all as brands to always be considering, in my case, if somebody's thinking about 3 advertising agencies in Trinidad, that 10 Caribbean would be one of the agencies that they would think of, right? Right, and this just outlines exactly the campaigns that we'll review so that we could touch on each one of these. So our launch campaign was 10 Gets Real. As I said, I'll discuss Bacchanalia Weekend. We will discuss our 3rd anniversary celebrations for the campaign aspect. And then we'll talk about the Immortal Beauties campaign. And then also for maintenance, I will discuss what 10 Caribbean did for Olympics and for CPL T20 cricket. And then what we've been doing for Massey Motors. We've been working with 3 of their brands now. Again, the 3 comes back up. We've been working with 3 of their brands now for about 6 or 7 months. So you can get an understanding as well of how we've tried to improve their top of mind awareness. So getting into our 10 Gets Real launch campaign. So when we launched, this was in November 2017, almost exactly 4 years ago. We were trying as best as possible to really make an impact, which is the way that everyone should be thinking about it when they're launching. What I find as one of the most missed opportunities when persons come to social media is that they tend to just simply start a page and start posting without really developing a strategy that will reach their target audience. And that's why I always kind of focus on the launch phase as something that's really important. It was something that we were able to do and served us really well in the long term. So before I even get into what the campaign was, I want to get into what it wasn't. So the name 10 Caribbean actually came from a quote from the Honorable Dr. Eric Williams. He said when Jamaica was leaving the West Indies Federation, that if you take 1 from 10, it leaves naught. So we were inspired by that quote, but it was not a part of our launch campaign. We didn't think that that would necessarily resonate with anyone except maybe like history buffs like myself. So and I'm making that point to make that what you find interesting may not necessarily be what other persons find interesting about your brand. And you have to be very careful in terms of how you use that information and portray it. Another thing that was not a part of the launch campaign, the 10 came from the fact that I really liked Russell Latipi, Maradona, Pele, Messi, and other footballers. Again, was not a part of our launch campaign because it speaks nothing to what the 10 Caribbean was actually launched to do. 10 also came from the fact that I had about 10 years experience in advertising in the Caribbean before I had started 10. Again, it was interesting to me. It may be interesting to my friends and family, but it was not necessarily interesting to our target audience, right? What I see happening a lot of times is persons launch a brand and they spend a significant amount of time maybe explaining where the logo came from, and the symbols in the logo and why the name was important to them. But you really need to take yourself out of the equation and focus on what the audience will be interested in knowing about your company, right? So in terms of what 10 Gets Real, our launch campaign was, we got 12 different influencers. I did like a little makeshift studio at my home. We didn't have any big budget. We shot them and we did video with them. And then we launched those videos from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., launching a new video every hour and using different influencers, right? So these persons were all influencers in their own right, and they reached different audiences throughout Trinidad. At that time, we were really trying to position ourselves as the Caribbean influencer agency, which is still something that we do. We do a lot of digital strategy and social media management as well. But we used this as almost like a case study for how influencer marketing is very impactful in Trinidad, right? And this is just, I mean, it's kind of hard to make out probably, but this is actually me looking at my watch at 10 p.m. on that night after I'd spent all day at my laptop posting all these different videos and graphics, right? But it was completely worth it because what we achieved over 2 weeks, and this was with a brand new Instagram, Facebook, and website. It was 50,000 impressions, 27,000 video views, 12,000 profile visits, 2,500 engagements, 800 followers, again, for a brand new company that was now making its mark on the scene, and 600 website clicks that most of that turned into actual business opportunities and leads, right? So for us, this is why I want to make that very important point, that the launch is so important to how you are able to position yourself as a brand. We literally did not have to go looking for business for another 3 years, because based on the impact we made with this launch campaign, we were able then to translate that into word of mouth when we started working with other businesses that enjoyed what we did for them, right? So if you want to make an impact, your launch is a great time to make an impact. And it's not just when you're starting your company for the first time. And this is why I use Caesar's Army as an example here, because Caesar's Army had been in business for 10 plus years. The event that they were promoting, Bacchanal Road, that had been around and successful for, I think it was either 3 or 4 years at the time. And then they decided to expand it into Bacchanalia weekend. And they still put the same emphasis behind the launch of that new product, focusing on getting the right kind of brand awareness, focusing on reaching their target audience, and also showing what they knew the target audience would want to see. So we helped them develop the idea, which was really that what they did was they expanded one event into 3 events, again, reminding you about that 3. And the video itself portrays 5 different persons experiencing those 3 events, and it all happens in a very quick smorgasbord of activity. It was also styled by Brian Matthew, but it was very impactful for them, and the event was very successful. So I'm just going to show you all the video quickly. Of course, they had a significantly better budget than we did when we were launching, and probably a better budget than you guys have when you're launching as well. But it's definitely something to consider about how best you can make the right kind of impact.
And just show the papers on the colors and the texture.
Right. And so I just want to encourage you guys to really focus on the launch. And I want to make that point once more that your launch isn't just the launch of your company, but also it could be the launch of a new product, a new service. You could be launching your new storefront, your new line, whatever it is that you're launching. Really think about how you can make the most impact with it, right? And well, as I said, this was an Addy Award win for us. So now that I've gone through the launch, I'm going to go very quickly into the campaign, where instead of trying to get brand awareness, you're really trying to position your brand a little bit more. You're thinking about what's the story that you want to tell and what's the best way for you to tell it. For this, what I tried to do was, well, I focused on explaining what our 3rd anniversary celebrations were like, but I also wanted to give a little bit of a context in terms of how we approached our campaign development. So for us, we had spent about 3 years, again, thanks to the connection with my eldest brother, Jules, and the plug with Caesar's Army, we were able to do a lot more event marketing throughout the Caribbean and Caribbean diaspora. And we had really developed a niche as sort of this event marketing agency. And of course, when the pandemic hit, that was a whole side of our business that was completely closed down. So when our 3-year anniversary came around, we really saw it as important now to reposition ourselves as not just this event marketing agency, but as an agency that could handle any type of business that came from any one of the islands. Thankfully, around that same time, we noticed that we had worked in, I think it was 10 different territories. I'm not going to try to list them all now, but it included Barbados, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Atlanta, Florida, New York. Right, yeah, I think I'll just stop there. Switzerland and the UK. So we had worked in 10 different countries over our 3-year time. And that's where the 3 and 10 comes back again, guys, if you're still paying attention. And we decided to develop the 3rd anniversary celebrations around that idea that we had worked in 10 different countries. We started our website with all our work was organized by island or by territory. We created Instagram highlights. All the highlights are based on what territory, where the work came from. We really tried our best to explore new social media, going on to LinkedIn, going on to YouTube. And then what we also did was we did client testimonials, which is of course something that I would strongly recommend as an opportunity for you to build your brand as well. Getting testimonials from our clients to say that, yes, we are this great event marketing agency, but that we can do a lot more things because we needed to reposition ourselves at that time. And of course, we were fortunate in that we won those 3 Addy Awards. It wasn't planned, but we won 3 awards right at the same time that we were celebrating our 3rd anniversary. And it all kind of came together into a wonderful campaign, right? So you have to think about the context. You have to decide on how you want to position yourself. And then that's how you'll be able to determine how the campaign rolls out. And then I'm going to just use that exact same framework to explain the work that we did with Immortal Beauty. So providing the context, it was their 10th anniversary that was coming up. She was also affected, Catherine Nurse, that's the CEO of Immortal Beauty. She was also affected by the pandemic in that their store at that time, that they just had one storefront in Normandy, Shops of Normandy. They had to close. She noticed, I actually heard her on a webinar similar to this. She noticed that she had a slight uptick in e-commerce sales. And she was trying to figure out a way to maintain that trajectory. And we developed this campaign. I actually reached out to her and said, hey, I have a great idea for you. And we developed this campaign called the Immortal Beauties, which was really based around the fact that Immortal Beauty was this little luxury brand. It was led by Catherine Nurse. That was the person that everybody knew when they thought about Immortal Beauty. So she became the quintessential Immortal Beauty. And then she was welcoming 9 other persons to join her in celebrating their 10th anniversary. So what you would see in that bottom yellow tile is actually one of those persons who joined, and then that's in the center square, and then in the very far right square is that person actually meeting with Catherine. They did like some short video sessions introducing the other Immortelle Beauties to the brand. And this campaign did extremely well for them because it was very true to their story. It was authentic, and it was finding an opportunity to really reposition themselves, because persons were thinking of, I guess, if you like Catherine, then Immortelle Beauty is for you. If Catherine represents you, then Immortelle Beauty is for you. And then there was this lovely amalgamation of beautiful, talented, stylish women that all became a part of the Immortelle Beauty, and you could find yourself represented in some one of them. And that's why I think that the campaign really resonated. So I'm just going to show you all a little look behind the scenes of the photo shoot itself. But I want to make the point that the photo shoot really didn't drive the campaign, right? So this was, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a big budget photo shoot, but it was a medium budget photo shoot. But it was driven by each one of the Immortelle Beauties got a discount code that they were able to share with their followers. It wasn't something that just happened over a 2-week period. It continued for an entire year, so that persons were able to use those codes to connect with the people, with the influencers that were involved. And that's how it really got the kind of trajectory that it needed, right? So just showing the video briefly, and then we get into the rest of it, into phase 3. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed. And well, as I would have discussed previously, we want to add the award for this outstanding social media campaign. So we've gone through 2 so far of the 3 phases: launch, campaign, and then finally we're just going to go into maintenance, where, as I say, is really important in terms of top of mind awareness, which is when persons consider their options in any category, do they think of you as one of those options? I know we have designers in here today. So if I'm going Christmas shopping for my wife, and I'm thinking of a nice local designer who I can get a dress that she could wear to Christmas lunch, will you be one of those brands that I think of and say, hey, let me go there and check it out. I will find something that I really like, okay? And then in terms of maintenance, I'm just going to use our Olympics into CPL. I mean, I'll very generously call this a campaign, but it's just an example of how you could stay, like, keep on the pulse and be really opportunistic, and therefore be able to reach your target audience, right? So like most of us during the summer, I got caught up in the Olympics. And we just decided to develop a graphic that was based around all the Caribbean champions. So you'll see, of course, Elaine Thompson-Herah in the center, the 2 winners from the Bahamas, Bermuda, Grenada, Jamaica, and we kind of squeezed Andre DeGrasse in there since he has Caribbean parentage. But we were able to truthfully and authentically speak to the Caribbean champions because we had already established ourselves as a Caribbean company based on the fact that we did this 3rd anniversary campaign that was all about the different Caribbean territories that we had worked in, right? So it was a continuation of that story. So it really does go back to how you establish your brand and what's your brand story. And then building off of that, we did another post. And then finally, or it just says Caribbean Strong, Caribbean Proud on either side. And then finally, when CPL was coming up, we used that opportunity again. So for Olympics, we said we're celebrating the champions. This was after they had already won their Olympic medal. Unfortunately, we didn't have any Trinidadian persons that we could put in there. So when we did CPL, we did it in terms of who do you think will win the CPL this year? Then we got a chance to put our Trinity people back in the center. But then you also see Barbados, Guyana, St. Kitts, and Jamaica, all represented in different ways. I mean, of course, there's Bravo there representing from St. Kitts. Well, representing because he was playing for St. Kitts at the time. But really, again, just trying your best to be opportunistic, looking for trends, looking for what's happening, whatever's trending, and finding a way to authentically position your brand as a part of that story. And that's what we try to do here. And that's what we've been doing for Massey Motors, I would say over the last 6 months, I think it may be 7 months now. So we've been working with these 3 brands for them. So it's Hyundai, Nissan, and Massey Motors pre-owned. And so it's been doing little things to maintain top of mind awareness, right? So obviously, because of confidentiality reasons, I can't get into a lot of it. So one of the things that we did that I could speak about freely is persons on the pre-owned page, because pre-owned sends like certified pre-owned cars. They really don't care that much about graphics and fancy stuff. They want to see the picture of the car, and we just found a way to create a design template that was easy to be replicated by their reps, by their brand team, and posted to the page so that they're able to at least maintain a sort of branding on the page. And focus, again, with that focus on top of mind awareness. So it's not just a random picture of a car at the lot, but you see this branded image and the branded colors, and it makes you think of Massey Motors pre-owned, right? For Nissan, I will neither confirm nor deny that this is Nissan's advertising budget as it evolved over our time working with them. Changing from focusing on just lead generation to including awareness, engagement, website traffic, video views, but it could be a bar chart of how that had evolved. Again, finding different ways to maintain top of mind awareness. And I really like this example from Hyundai, which I wish I could claim that we developed it, but this was done during the pandemic. And in case you missed it, I'm just going to go back and forward again so you could see it. They just made this very slight tweak to their logo, turning it into a fist bump and recommending safety first during the pandemic, right? Which is a lovely little tweak that you could think about doing when you are thinking about your maintenance campaign, whether you decide that you want to encourage persons to get vaccinated, encourage persons to use the safe zones, encourage persons to stay home and stay safe. You want to become a part of the conversation, but authentically so. And that takes us through the first 3 phases. So I hope I'm not running over time, Brian. I'm just going to go through the 10 commandments very quickly. This was found in an ancient ruin and buried under the sands for eons and eons.
You have time. Go right ahead, Darian.
So the first commandment, thou shalt have no better brand manager than thee. Please ensure, no matter how big your business is, that you are constantly the person that's on top of your branding. The example that I love to use is Steve Jobs from Apple. He was always very much focused on the marketing as much as he was focused on the product development on his company. And I would strongly recommend that to you guys. Thou shalt maintain thy brand. If you launched your company in 2001 and you're celebrating your 20th anniversary this year, I hope that you're not celebrating it with the same logo that you launched your company with 20 years ago. definitely consider revising and maintaining your brand as the time goes along and it evolves. Thou shalt not take your brand's name in vain. I could just use the example of this webinar that Brian invited me to today. I had a very packed week. I was willing to do it based on the fact that he's my boy, but I would not have done it if I didn't think I was able to represent 10 in the best way possible. So definitely don't assign or connect your brands to things that you're not going to be proud of afterwards. And of course, we're big fans of Port of Spain Fashion Week as well. So do not take your brand's name in vain. Remember to remember your brand and keep it holy. I'm not sure if you guys can still see my video right now, but I keep my brand very holy. This is my office with a massive 10 logo right behind me. I take it very seriously. I'm pretty much always dressed in my brand colors. If you go to my personal Instagram page or my personal LinkedIn page, 10 Caribbean is one of the first things that you see. It's something that I take a lot of pride in, and I would recommend as brand owners, you take a lot of pride in it as well. Honor thy brand and thy branding. So one of the things, just because of the time constraints, I wasn't able to get into, I would strongly recommend everyone develop a branding guideline. It recommends your logo usage, fonts, colors that are associated with your brand, and it helps you, especially if you are, most of us are these Canva designers now. If you're designing in Canva, you could use specific colors that speak to your brand. If you have multiple graphic artists working on your brand, you share the guidelines so that it's always consistently represented everywhere it is, right? Thou shalt not kill your brand. Well, I think that's pretty obvious. We all want to be risk takers, but don't do anything. Don't for jeopardize the longevity of your brand as a result, right? Thou shalt not commit brand adultery. But this is a rule for me. I definitely know that I only have enough energy in my heart and mind for one brand. There are a lot of persons who are able to maintain multiple brands. I do think sometimes your brand can be spread too thin if it is that you have 5 different Instagram pages that all represent different facets of your business that could all be housed under one page, for example, right? So that's just something that I would like to let you guys consider. And thou shalt not steal brand ideas. I think this is pretty obvious. I hope you don't steal anything that I presented here today. Definitely be inspired by other brands, but don't steal things outright, especially in these days and age where it's very easy to find where you stole your idea from. Thou shalt not bear false witness against your brand. It's just that idea that you shouldn't really be lying. Be as authentic as possible when you're representing your brand. For example, 10 is a boutique advertising agency. It's literally the 3 persons I showed earlier. We have 1 other employee based in Trinidad. We work with freelancers all across the Caribbean, but you would never hear me say, hey, we have 100 employees, 10 in every Caribbean island, because that is not the truth, right? So don't ever misrepresent your brand because it will come back to haunt you. And then finally, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's brand. So everybody will grow at a different pace. As long as you continue investing time and energy into building your brand, you will have something that you're proud of eventually. Don't look at somebody else and say, oh, good, I have 10,000 followers already. What happened to me? You know what I mean? Like, don't get discouraged by that. Continue to put in the work and you will see the results. And I think that's about it. Yeah, so today's webinar was brought to you by the numbers 3 and 10. And that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And if you want to find out more about 10 Caribbean, you can find us here. We're 10 Caribbean everywhere on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can check out Twitter. I think I actually prefer if you check us out on LinkedIn. But if you want to find out more about us and see more of what we do, we're actually doing a great little feature on Brian Matthew and his styling work that I just posted one more thing today, so you guys can check it out and let us know what you think. And that's it. So I hand it over to you, Brian, unless we have questions that we need to answer.
Thank you very, very much, sir.